Okay, question 5 in the actor's 10 questions. And this is the most important question, I would say, because this is the one thing you can act. And it's how are you going to get what you want? Now, some people call those the activities. What activities are you going to play in order to get what you want? I often call them just the action verbs, not to be confused with the action. But the action verbs being the things you can actually play. So what you can play are verbs: to threaten, to beg, which are psychological. To stand, to crawl, that's physical. So what are you going to do in order to get what you want? That breaks into the physical and the psychological. The psychological are, for the most part, the main thing. Because the physical is pretty easy. It's pretty easy to crawl, to jump, to run, to shout, if you like. They're physical things. We do need to remember to plot them in. But what will really define you as an actor, or make your storytelling interesting for the audience and for yourself, is the psychological actions, which are, to dismiss someone or to charm someone. You could describe it as, in what way do you say something? In what way do you say good morning? Now, the way you choose, those are the actions you're playing. So, in real life, we do these things unconsciously, and they're usually based on a set of psychological actions you learned in the place where you grew up. So you learn from your parents, or later on from your friends. And this is what leads to problems in relationships, whereas your version of to celebrate might be different from someone else's version of to celebrate. Or rather, it's someone's birthday and you want this strong celebration. For someone else, they want their birthday and they want this soothing acknowledgement of the birthday. And so someone might interpret your strong celebration as somehow offensive, or your soothing acknowledgement of the birthday as somehow lacking enthusiasm. It's the misinterpretation of how we are playing our action, of what we're doing, leads to all sorts of problems in relationships. But also, it's what's going on when you're talking about acting. It's the only thing you really need to discuss as an actor. Because all the other questions are stuff you work out when you first read the script. Okay, when is it? It's the 12th century. Okay, so I'm not going to be wearing my running shoes. Though maybe you're doing a play where you're sending it up a bit. You've got anachronisms in it. But really, the only thing you need to concern yourself with is this question 5. How are you going to get what you want? I call it the action verbs. Other people, the Utah Hagen School, calls it the activities. Now, in the scene, a good rule of thumb is to give it a beginning, middle and end. That you're going to try one lot of activities which will not work, and then you move to the next activities or action verb. So for instance, if it's the job interview and what you want is the job, you first might begin by charming the boss. So, hi, nice to meet you, you might use all this. And then when the boss says, what are your skills? Instead of charming, you might move to defying. I've got over 10 years of experience doing this. Rather than remaining in charm, because the boss might want to see that you've got a bit more gumption about you, a bit more grit. To remain on charm keeps you a bit boring, Though, if you began by defying your boss as you came in, hi, come on in, good morning. You know, if you begin with a defiant good morning, people might think, hold on. No, it might be a fun choice, but it also might just make you seem mad. I mean, you are trying to get the job. The answer to how do I know what I want is look at what you get. Now, and if what you get you're happy about, then it's what you wanted. And if it's not, then it isn't what you wanted. And the more complex the drama, the more it can be that you got externally what you wanted, but internally you didn't. You know, you made the £10 million, but you failed to impress your father. So we're in the realms of complex drama. In a simplistic drama or in a B movie, you know, in your average Jason Statham flick, the external and internal are often the same. They make the £10 million and everyone's impressed. So inner and outer, both success. Anyway, back to this part 5. It's so I would split the psychological actions, the action verbs, into strong and light. So strong stuff is like threatening, defying, celebrating, praising. And light is, you know, charm, soothe, mystify, beguile. Also, the first thing you think of is probably the first thing the audience thinks of, and it's probably a bit boring. So take whatever is the first thing you thought of and think about what would be the exact opposite, and see if you can get it to work. Almost anything can work. But you know, this will be your taste, your choice, your challenge to think of some creative ways of doing things. Also, this process is a bit of a mystery to certain actors who've been trained in certain different ways, who don't really understand what it is they're doing when they're doing what they're doing. And in fact, when you point out someone's psychological actions to them, say, if you're having a disagreement with someone or you're trying to work out what's going on with a misunderstanding with a friend, it can feel very insulting. And you know, you often go to a therapist who tells you what your psychological actions are and then encourages you to make different choices. And good acting is being able to wield those choices. So step 5, how are you going to get what you want? Your activities or your action verbs.